Welcome back, focused learners, to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a genuinely painful reality that, let's be honest, almost anyone in product development has faced: the completely devastating, expensive cycle of wasted work. We're going to break down exactly how to stop building things based on stale assumptions and instead stay relentlessly close to reality. We're pulling our insights today from a brilliant breakdown by the team over at Specky, looking specifically at how to make continuous discovery an actual habit, rather than just another corporate buzzword.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do so many meticulously planned features ship to absolutely zero fanfare? I mean, we've all been there, right? You spend weeks, maybe even months, meticulously planning and building this incredible feature. You finally launch it, and literally crickets. Why? Well, it's because most teams do discovery in these massive, exhausting bursts. They run a huge research sprint before making a big bet, and then they just put their heads down to build. But here's the catch. During those months of heads-down building, the assumptions they gathered quietly go stale. So by the time the product actually ships, the market has completely moved on, and nobody even noticed. So the core conflict here really comes down to this. On one side, you have the massive quarterly research sprint. You know the one. It's treated like a special event, a massive interruption to normal work. But on the other side, we have the reality of what actually works, and that's continuous discovery. See, this isn't about doing more research. It's about establishing small, weekly touchpoints with your customers, run directly by the team building the product. It's a habit, not a passing phase.
Which perfectly brings us to a foundational quote from Teresa Torres, the person who actually coined the term continuous discovery. She argues, quite simply, talk to customers at least weekly. The cadence here is literally the whole point. If you aren't talking to your users constantly, you are inevitably building a disconnected product. It's just a matter of time. Think about the number 1 for a second. If you only talk to your customers monthly, you spend one entirely blind month making product decisions with absolutely zero feedback. And if you wait a quarter, good grief, that is an entire quarter of wasted work just compounding on a bad assumption. But when you talk to customers weekly, you can actually remember what you just shipped and why, allowing you to course correct way before disaster strikes. Section 1. 3 rules for success.
All right, so we know we need a weekly habit, but how do we actually make that stick without completely destroying the engineering roadmap? According to the source material, it boils down to 3 rules. Rule number 1, the team absolutely has to talk to customers directly. It's time to politely retire those stale, beautifully designed but practically useless persona decks, and we definitely can't rely on a sales team's paraphrase or a dense 50-page research report. Secondhand insight always loses the crucial nuanced details that actually change a product decision. You need that direct contact, period.
Moving on to rule number 2, keep the activities small. Look, if your discovery process is a 2-week, rigorous study, it is literally never going to happen on a weekly basis. To fit seamlessly alongside shipping product, discovery has to be as routine and low-lift as writing code tests. We're talking about a quick 20-minute interview, maybe testing a single prototype, or just sending out a super fast survey. It cannot be treated like a special event. And rule number 3 is vital. Anchor it to an outcome. You are not building a passive academic library of customer interviews here. You are actively chasing a specific business result. Maybe you want to lift activation rates, or maybe reduce user churn. You use this frequent contact with customers to actively hunt for the path that gets you to that specific goal. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is section 2, the insight decay problem. Let's say you follow those 3 rules perfectly. You're talking to customers weekly. Sounds perfect, right? Well, sustaining this habit generally breaks down in one of 2 ways. First, there's recruiting friction. If booking a simple call takes a week of endless back-and-forth emails, your weekly habit becomes monthly and then never. But the silent killer? That's insight decay. This is what happens when you actually manage to collect the data, but then completely lose track of it. So what is insight decay? It's that truly tragic moment when a customer gives you a brilliant, feature-killing quote, and then those interview notes scatter into the dark abyss of a Notion workspace or get buried in some random Slack thread, or worse, just sit entirely in one product manager's head. 3 months later, when the team is debating that exact feature, nobody can find the quote. The insight is just dead. Which brings us to a massive realization. The real bottleneck in modern product development isn't talking to customers. It's remembering what they said. The trap here is that the more you talk to customers, the more evidence you generate. A weekly habit produces dozens of signals every single month. Without a proper system to hold it all together, those hard-earned signals naturally decay into completely useless anecdotes. So the crucial point is section 3,
the memory bottleneck solution.
We cannot solve a data management problem by just generating more data. We need a structural solution, and that brings us to what Specky calls a connected product graph. Imagine a system where every single interview, every support ticket, every user call just flows into one interconnected web of evidence. In this graph, a passing point a customer made 3 weeks ago automatically surfaces the exact moment it becomes relevant to a product decision you're making today. It's honestly a game changer.
To make this actually scalable, Specky introduces Alex, an AI research agent. Now, hold on. The goal here isn't to let AI talk to your customers for you. Remember rule number 1, direct human contact is absolutely essential. Instead, the AI handles the heavy lifting of synthesis. It organizes that whole mess of notes and signals, allowing the product team to focus entirely on human connection and empathy during the actual interviews.
By capturing and connecting every single signal, a messy, exhausting weekly scheduling chore is transformed into a highly valuable, structured advantage using Specky. It becomes a compounding asset. Every conversation adds permanent value to your product's intelligence, rather than just vanishing into the ether. You're building a gold mine, not a graveyard.
Which leaves us with this final, vital question to ask yourself and your team. Are your customer conversations building a compounding asset, or are they just fading into forgotten anecdotes? Continuous discovery is how the best teams stay close to reality, but the ones that actually win make sure not a single insight gets lost. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I highly recommend looking at your own discovery pipeline today and figuring out how to finally put your scattered insights to work. Catch you next time.